Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Epic Insights with Ovationz. I am your host, Aaron Ellis. I am joined today by Marc W. Halpert. Now, Marc is a LinkedIn laureate. He's an author, speaker, coach, strategic marketing consultant, and has mastered LinkedIn and now passionately shares his knowledge and expertise through his books, techniques, concepts, and strategies to help professionals and companies thrive. He's known as the tip of the spear for LinkedIn effectiveness and renowned for his depth of knowledge and ability to transfer that knowledge to others, and has been recognized by LinkedIn as a top training voice and top entrepreneur voice. Marc, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Aaron. Good to be here.
Lots to even unpack in just how I introduced you, so let's dive in. I always do love to hear, the one thing I mentioned how I don't really have any canned questions, I do really love to hear, though, what brought you to what you're doing today? What brought you to the iteration of your passion today, right? Now, being that LinkedIn tip of the spear, I'd love to hear that.
Well, I had two other businesses before my LinkedIn business. I've been a serial entrepreneur throughout my career. Back in 07, 08, when the bubble hit and I needed to find new clients, I was finding it hard to go through the regular word of mouth grapevine that I so much believed in, and realized I needed some help. And my old Rolodexes on my desk didn't do it anymore. Everybody had gone everywhere. They exploded and went someplace else, left the industry they're in. They left the country in some cases. So I needed a tool that was going to help me investigate how to reach people through people I knew, to warm it up so they'd want to hear me. And a friend of mine had introduced me to LinkedIn back in 2002, I believe. And I said, yeah, I don't need it. It's not important. And then I realized how I needed it and how important it was. Mm-hmm. And so I started to go to courses and I started being taught how to use it, realizing I wasn't being taught correctly by the teachers. So whenever Marc hears something that he doesn't think is right, I go and I blow the hell out of it. And I decided I'm going to learn this monster. And back then it was so easy. It was such a simple product and platform. I said, I'm going to teach it. And I did. Nice. I taught it once. I got paid for it, though I wasn't expecting. There's a great story to that we'll go through some other day. But nonetheless, I said, you know what? Damn it. I've got all this knowledge that I've generated. I paid other teachers to teach me incorrectly. I should be teaching people correctly. And it became part of the branding I've been doing all my career. It became part of the writing I've been doing all my career. I just pulled it in to what I'm all about. And I have two central things I'm all about. Why do you do what you do? Don't tell me what you did. That's your resume. That's your obituary. You die tomorrow, they can write a great obituary from your resume.
I like it.
Your past experience makes you who you are today. Who you are today and how you express it tells people who could be interested in riding with your coattails into your future, your respective futures together as a team. So past, present, future. Why do you do what you do? My last thing that I love to impress on everybody is I made up a word called amazinger. You have to be amazinger than your competition. As an individual, as an organization, as a company, as a firm, even as a department. Because where I used to work in corporate America, we had departments competing with other departments. Tax hated treasury, treasury hated finance, finance hated tax. Mm-hmm. We were constantly competing. That was not an environment I wanted to be in. I wanted to go someplace normal, natural, intelligent, instead of watching my back all the time. I decided it also could be part of my career development to talk about how amazing I am based upon where I came from, who I am today, where I want to go in my future. So it all pulls together.
I love the way you answered my question in such a, like, and it didn't sound recited. That's the best part. You literally just, it flowed right out of you. You answered a few of my questions in a really summary form that I probably couldn't have crafted better for a podcast. So let's
when you love what you do, it's so easy to show it and to package it. Exactly. And it's such a pleasure to finally be someplace in my career where I don't have to worry about where the next nickel's going to come from, who's chasing me behind me. I welcome the challenge. Every client I go to is different. Every person I coach is different. I thrive on the difference and engaging them individually. So important.
You're literally queuing up exactly what I want to talk about. So you talk about when you love what you do, when you understand it so well, and you're so passionate about it, right? And I want to segue that, and you just said all of my customers are unique, right? All of them are different, right? And one of the things that I really truly, when I say someone has expertise, now, first of all, I don't think it's necessarily a destination. It's a journey that's continually expanding. So when I've met people who are experts, who are truly experts, they also understand that their humility needs to exceed their ability consistently, right? And so they're constantly expanding that expertise. They're not like, I've arrived. They're just like, even though you have in a lot of ways, right? I can tell that you're continually expanding yourself. Now, let me wrap that into what I'm talking about here and put it into a question form. The Epic series we've talked about, where we're going into companies, we're going into corporations and organizations, and we're actually addressing their teams, right, on specific subjects, in person, interactive, right? We're actually helping them integrate. We're bringing them like a masterclass / TEDx talk, like an answer to these workshops and stuff that they're usually paying that are canned and pre-recorded. We're doing it bespoke, like you talked about. We're doing it for the uniqueness of it. And in order to do that, this is where I'm coming back to what I want to really showcase in you. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to know it backwards, forwards, inside and out. You're just from getting to know you on the workshop we had, the roundtable we had, as well as just before this, your depth and breadth of breadth, is that the right word I'm looking for? Like the width of knowledge, or am I making up a new word? Is amazing. So how can we bring that all together and explain how we can go at what you do and how you're doing it through Ovationz now and going into companies and helping them understand? And let's do it from the corporate lens. Why is LinkedIn so important? And how can we even simplify that today, even though I know we could go, there's many rabbit holes that pop off of this, right? But how can you simplify that? And like, I know I just gave you a whole bunch of stuff to bring together into one question, but
that's all right. I can handle it.
Your expertise, the fact that we do see you as an expert, we're bringing these kind of experts like you into organizations. And how do you bring that expertise and help organizations understand how to utilize LinkedIn, how to thrive on LinkedIn, why they need to utilize LinkedIn even?
Okay. Right now, I am talking to the entire C-suite of any company in the United States or in the world. Okay. You need to have a great LinkedIn profile for everybody who has public face on behalf of your company. So if somebody is owed money from your company and they're trying to find out who's in charge of accounts payable, they go onto LinkedIn and they find that accounts payable person. And they want to know what level of expertise that person has. And how can I address that person best to get what they want and the company give what they need to do? So it's all a matter of reading your audience. Every single person has to have a profile that is respectable, intelligent, and makes the individual reading the profile want to engage. Sales can be lost. Respect can be lost when you have individuals in your company who have profiles that are all over the place. They could be at the barest minimum and they look terrible. No picture, no banner, no description of what they do, no experience there. You have no idea who you're talking to if you're from the outside looking in. From the inside looking out, most of these people don't care. They don't have to worry about who's looking at them. But C-level people, you have to worry about that because it's part of your brand. It is part of your marketing. It is part of your persona of the organization. That's what makes you competitive when everybody, top to bottom, has a great profile. Most people do a miserable job of writing their profile. Why? We're not taught to talk about ourselves. Why? We're not taught to tell why we are amazinger than other people. We're taught to be quiet and go about your business and not to push out what it is that you're thinking about, new material. What are you doing innovatively? What is it that you do and perfected in your area of expertise? How are you a news breaking expert in what you do? It's not going to be your AP clerk. It's going to be your vice president. It's going to be your senior vice president, the people that are asked to come to conferences and speak on behalf of the company. That's your best branding. So everybody in the organization has to have a great profile, and everybody has to get the same training to write a great profile, so everybody starts on an even playing field. But it doesn't stop there, because I could come in, I could fly in, I could zoom in, it doesn't matter how I appear, and I could give a presentation. The moment I leave, they say, I'm not doing that. No, thank you. I have no time. My phone rings off the hook. I got emails. Level people, you have to mandate in your company, everybody will have a great profile. Let's start with Marc's presentation.
Wow. So this is going into my exact next question, because I know, throughout my career, as a musician and entertainer and stuff, and coming up with social media, before there was social media, right? Entertainer, then still an entertainer when there was social media, it can be overwhelming, right? And even the things you said, I do understand it now, but to the first person hearing this who hasn't really leaned in and put time into their profiles and stuff, it can seem overwhelming. How are you simplifying that for them? Like you just said they need to mandate it, but how do you simplify it to where you have those people who I say reflex answers, no different than any sales. Somebody says, I don't have the money or the time. The same things can apply here. I don't have the time. My phone's ringing off the hook, like you mentioned. How do you help simplify that to where it's a process where people can actually lean in and you can meet that company, their employees, where they're at, which could be at a level of resistance at first?
Well, when I onboard a new client, I want to understand where their pain points are. That's only logical. But I want to understand what groups of people in the company work in the same generic way. All right. Great example I could give. I go into a really large national law firm. You cannot talk to the matrimonial attorneys the same way you talk to the litigators. They're just different breeds. They don't work the same way. It's still the same law firm, still the same branding, but I have to segregate the groups that work similarly and then talk to the branding people, understand what they're trying to profess in their 2024 branding program and what the upcoming events are and hurdles that they need to meet. When I do that, I can break the entire organization into units that I can make a presentation to. 90 minutes, everybody in that unit gets the same presentation. But as I said earlier, it doesn't stop there. Then 2 weeks later, after they've invested in themselves and employed the concepts I've taught them 2 weeks earlier, I sit down with each individual for 30 minutes to see what they propose to change in their LinkedIn profile. Everybody has to send me a Word document exactly how they want to say it. Now, sometimes it has to pass muster with the compliance people or the ethics people, depending if you're in financial services or law firm or whatever type of regulated industry that you're in, self-regulated or externally regulated. But if I can get everybody on an equal playing field brand-wise, the whole company benefits as a whole. Then I deliver them back to the marketing department. This is who is a great example of somebody that everybody can emulate. This person needs a little extra help. Let's figure out the next step. So it's integrative, it's iterative, it works together, but I just don't arrive and disappear. There is this element of reinforcement coaching. After they've heard me speak, then they have to come back and face me and themselves in their proposed rewritten LinkedIn profile. Everybody has a different way of interpreting that assignment. Some people say, I didn't have time to do it. Can we just talk it through? And I know that's a disaster. And I'll say, no, we don't. That's not what the assignment was. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be hard and to the point. If you didn't write it, I don't want to talk to you. And I work into my contract with the clients. This is not to be taken lightly. There's a penalty for people who either don't do the assignment or waste the time. So I want everybody to understand my time and my expertise are worth something. Their time and their expertise are worth something. It's an equal playing field.
Wow. You touched on something which really spoke to another thought and question in me. It's showing us how passionate you are on what you do. and how much you believe in it. How much, or I think it's more of a knowing. You know that people need to understand what you're talking about. You know they need to implement these things on LinkedIn, right? And I think that's amazing. Now, my question is, let me see if I can formulate this question. I'm curious on, do you have metrics that you share with the company to say the difference of if they don't, if their company doesn't embrace what you're teaching in LinkedIn, here's what can happen statistically. I don't know if you play those with those numbers with clients, but what I'm getting at is, what do you utilize from a statistical or example stories, whatever it is, to get the buy-in from that leadership to literally mandate this throughout their team, so you can come in with the structural integrity we talked about beforehand, and you're showing them in how you show up how important this is. It's a non-negotiable.
Really easy, and that is, they know they need it, they don't know where to get it.
Yeah.
And so when I am the expert who has been referred in, recommended in, they've seen me make my presentations, they've read my books, whatever it is, they know that not only am I serious and passionate about it, but I've seen it succeed. I can tell a million stories in my 14 years of teaching LinkedIn. I can tell stories about people who've fallen flat on their face because they didn't do what they were supposed to do, and then they realize later, after I've long gone, that they have a lot of catch up to do. I can tell you about stories where people get the best piece of business for the year by somebody who found them on LinkedIn. Wow. Because they did what I told them to do. I can tell you about stories about people who got employed basically off the street by one referral, goes to meet the CEO, says all the things, and the CEO says to him, I have never heard anybody tell their entire war story. That's exactly the person we want in this organization. And he got a position that they created around him. So I come with all these boxes. I just shake the boxes up a little bit. I rearrange the boxes a few times. There are no two clients the same, so no two metrics are the same. I don't think people care about metrics anymore. They care about what's in it to make my organization beat the competitor. How can we be, there's that word again, amazinger than everybody else out there? And I tell that story my very best way.
I absolutely love the way you answered that. You answered it the way I would answer it. It's so, like what you're doing, the beauty of, like we talked about structural integrity, where for me, integrity, congruency is when what you say, what you do, what you think, all those things are speaking the same message to the world. The time I've spent with you on the roundtable, the time I spent with you before we start recording, the time I spent with you recording, I see that integrity in you, that structural integrity, to the point where you even answered that question in a, I don't know how to, you have expertise is what I'm getting at. Like I love that I'm struggling to find the words, because that shows that what I love when I understand somebody's, like, their vision so much, the non-intellectual, the non-things that you can't grasp, right? Because you fully understand it to where you're at a loss for words. That's when I know that I've really embraced somebody's vision and who they are. And then I'm like, you got to meet Marc. You got to talk to Marc. Why? He does this LinkedIn things. He's on the tip of the spear. Like, I'm like, I can't even necessarily give a succinct example, but the way I present you, which is what I love when I get this, I mentioned this to you, and you might remember this, like one of my passions with Ovationz is I want to learn your vision and your mission, and I want to buy into it so I can elevate it. Right? And through that, Ovationz, a result will be the engagements we get you, right? That's not my primary focus, is to get you engagements. So my focus is to learn you and to go.
I want nothing more than somebody to say, hey, other CEO at a coffee, at a conference, on a golf course, I just hired Ovationz, and they've got a stable of the most amazing experts because they've all been referred in by other amazing experts. That's the company I personally want to keep. That's the type of companies I want to be known for working with. That's the type of company that CEO, CO, CIO, whoever you are out there listening, that's Ovationz, the type of company that you want to refer to other people. I'm not paid to say this. I get nothing but psychic compensation by knowing that if they like what they got from me, there's a lot of other people and other topics that they can also like what they're going to get from. And that's the way I operate. I like to network up to the best.
Yeah. I don't think I could have given a better example and presentation for the Epic series than you just did for us. So really, that's really a testament to what I'm building here and the structural integrity of what I do with companies. I really want it to be a for us, by us organization. And it's all in the giving we receive. And we're all just literally helping each other, borrowing, like leveraging each other and everything. So this has been awesome. We're at a 20-minute mark. I know that I've made a 20-minute mark. I've made some notes on things that we could talk on a different topic, but I always love to understand the personal and professional link in people's lives because it's not separate. So who's Marc as the person? Like, are you a family man? What do you like to do on your off time? What is the personal side of Marc?
I am a father. I am a grandfather 3 times. Well, soon to be 3 times. Looking forward to the next one coming in late August. I am a gardener. I love projects that take short term to come to fruition, as in gardening, because most of the work I do has a very long term to fruition horizon. So it satisfies me in terms of the time frames that I work within. I have been around the horn many times in many industries and many manifestations. I love to write about my experience. I write a blog post every business morning. I now have over 2,600 of them under my belt. Wow. Over the past few years. They arrive to me and come back to me in the best ways. I hear stories about people saying, I did exactly what you told me to, and it's exactly what I needed to know. And thank you. And that's the best gratification I could possibly get. So I am a very fortunate person at a late stage in my career to have finally found the thing that makes me happiest, and that is to give back.
I absolutely love that. You also put another topic in my mind for later that has to do with overwhelm and burnout, and balance, where you have things that are long cycles in your life. So you've chosen something like gardening that's a short cycle. There's so many places we could go with that for people to benefit from. So I'll make a note on that. Marc, is there any final thoughts or things you really want to make sure you shared today that we haven't?
Yeah. Don't get used to LinkedIn the way you see it. It changes constantly. Don't try to game the algorithm. You will lose. Try to be yourself on LinkedIn and let the rest take its course. There's too much energy going into stuff you can't beat. So just try to think, when you read your own profile, would I buy from me? And if the answer is hell no, you got some work to do.
Nice. Marc, thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom and your insights and stuff. It's been epic. It's been epic.
I'm glad I lost you for words. That's the best compliment.
It doesn't happen with me very often, so it's been a lot of fun. Like I'm actually a little bit sore from my smile right now. So this is an awesome episode, and I look forward to having you back. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, man. Thank you, Aaron.
Everybody, this has been another episode of Epic Insights with Ovationz. I've been speaking with Marc W. Halpert. Check him out on ovationz.com. Watch for his episode to come out. Guys, way more to come. He is the epitome of the experts that we're actually bringing on board and have on our platform that we can bring into your organization to level up your organization in so many different ways with our Epic series. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.